Agility in tennis is much more than mere quickness. It is the intricate orchestration of speed, balance, reaction, and spatial awareness, enabling a player like Damir Džumhur to extend rallies, retrieve deep balls, and turn defense into offense with impressive regularity. His rigorous footwork drills, full of agility-focused components, are not arbitrary or supplemental. They are at the core of his game and form the foundation of his ability to dominate long exchanges and frustrate opponents. When we examine how agility training translates to performance on the court, we begin to see the layers of its impact. First, there's acceleration and deceleration. Tennis players rarely sprint in a straight line for long distances. They instead cover short bursts of 2 to 6 meters at a time, often changing direction almost instantaneously. A player like Džumhur, who thrives on retrieving balls and rallying from the baseline, relies heavily on the first 1 or 2 explosive steps. These power steps determine whether he reaches a wide ball in time, whether he can recover in time to prevent an aggressive shot, and ultimately, whether he can keep the point alive. But acceleration is only half the story. One must also decelerate, stop abruptly, plant firmly, and launch in another direction. Over time, responsiveness and body control rhythms improve through drills aimed at acceleration-deceleration cycles, often in a 1-2 or even 1-4 work-to-rest ratio to mimic match intensity. For Džumhur, whom the user describes as keeping shots deep with heavy topspin and stretching rallies, this kind of stop-and-go capability ensures he transitions from retrieving a deep, far ball to a strong offensive ground stroke, or better yet, forces an error from his opponent. A key dimension of agile work is reaction-driven movement. It's one thing to know which side you're heading toward, but it's another to do so when the cue is unpredictable. Reactivity drills, guided by a partner's hand signal or sudden ball toss, or even computerized stimuli, force the player to read, decide, and move all in fractions of a second. Džumhur's agility training likely includes such unpredictability, refining not just his physical quickness, but his cognitive responsiveness. That split-second recognition, reading an opponent's racket, anticipating the angle, reacting visually, coupled with immediate foot acceleration, lets him hunt down shots deep and force his opponent to target corners without room for executing aggressive angles. This blend of cognitive and physical agility offers strategic advantages. On defense, he can retrieve seemingly unreachable balls deep in the corners. On offense, he can quickly pivot from reaction to early aggression. His capacity to switch roles mid-point keeps opponents off balance. A serve and volley player forced to wait for a deep passing shot will crack under the grinding. A baseline hitter might tire hitting extra balls. By forcing these rallies, Džumhur leverages his superior footwork to dictate terms. When faced with an aggressive baseliner, Džumhur's ability to redirect a heavy topspin return deep and immediately chase it again sucks the dominance out of the opponent. Big hitters find it frustrating to win free points. Topspin and depth force errors. Džumhur's steps, honed through agility sessions, become his weapon. Each cut, shuffle, and sprint delays the opponent's rhythm, and combined with his solid strokes, he regains control transformatively. How does this drill translate in match play? Imagine a rally that starts with deep returns, continues through wide angles, and culminates in a scramble near the sideline. Džumhur's practiced split-step timing ensures he's never flat-footed. His rapid power step gets him low and prepared. His shuffle or crossover foot action carries him into position with balance. His brain has, nearly unconsciously, read the spin and trajectory. Training has fused this reaction time with his foot movement. Once he strikes, he can immediately recover to center, ready for the next exchange. That fluidity comes because every footwork facet, speed, reaction, change of direction, body control, endurance, is trained, polished, and integrated. Though this kind of training may look deceptively simple, it builds a foundation upon which his entire game relies. Tennis is not just about hitting the ball, it's about controlling the body through split-second adjustments, maintaining poise through dynamic movement, and recovering quickly between strokes. Training on unstable surfaces directly primes the systems Džumhur uses on court: his muscles, proprioception, central nervous system, and overall coordination. First, standing on an unstable platform forces the body to activate stabilizer muscles around the ankles, knees, hips, and core to a greater degree than stable ground exercises do. This heightened engagement is essential because every tennis stroke, from baseline rallies to sprinting volleys, is built on a moment of transfer, shifting weight from one leg to the other, pivoting into a shot, or recovering stance. Research in sports science confirms that unstable surface training increases activation of small stabilizer muscles and sharpens neuromuscular control. When Džumhur works on balance while semi-chaotic shifts of pressure occur underfoot, he is shaving milliseconds off his ability to control each limb and remain strong despite external disturbance. That's the difference between recovering to neutral position and collapsing into your opponent's next shot. Second, the sensory feedback loop becomes vastly more responsive. Standing on an unstable surface amplifies the relationship between the proprioceptive system, muscle spindles, joint receptors, and visual and vestibular input. According to sports conditioning specialists, the vestibular, proprioceptive, and visual systems together support balance and coordination, and those demands are deepened when stability is challenged. For a player like Džumhur, whose game often hinges on stretching to retrieve a deep ball with spin and recovering swiftly, that rapid sensory integration is vital. He needs to sense subtle weight shifts, understand where his center of mass lies, and dynamically adjust his base instantly. Without that, he wouldn't be able to hit with control or redirect his momentum as fluidly. Third, training on unstable surfaces enhances what tennis coaches call functional balance, the ability to maintain position during real-life strokes, not just static holds. For instance, single-leg balance challenges mimic the stance used in open stance forehands or sudden lunges to the net. One scientific study divided players into groups receiving instability training in addition to normal practice, and the instability group showed significantly greater improvements in both balance and coordination tests. What this means practically is the difference between a steady ball landing near the line and a rushed, off-balance reply that hands a free point to the opponent. Furthermore, unstable surface work stimulates deeper core engagement. Tennis players must stabilize their torsos while generating rotational power and adjusting to unpredictable ball trajectories. A well-activated core resists external perturbations and controls the transfer of force upward through the kinetic chain. When Džumhur stands on a slight wobble, even for mere seconds, he primes his central musculature, trunk, pelvis, obliques, to operate better under real match load. Research highlights how core stability drills, especially when combined with balance training, yield meaningful improvements in athletic counterbalance and dynamic equilibrium.